What up, your boy Superman? Today I want to talk about being a foreigner in Japan. Anyways, let's get with it. I'm just talking about kind of like the barriers and some of the things you gotta go through, or you're just gonna have to deal with, being a foreigner here. So if you're super sensitive, have no sense of humor, it's gonna be kind of difficult. You can do it. So gambate, okay? First one, okay? Language barrier. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 5 years old, if you're 10 years old, jump on YouTube, whatever you can do, grab a book from the library, start learning Japanese right now. I don't know what country you want to go to, but whatever your country you want to go to, you can learn the language. Just start right now. Don't be discouraged. Don't listen to nobody. Just do what you want to do and just start learning the language. Language barrier is kind of a big deal, and it can really stop you from having a really full life in any country you're trying to succeed at living in. So that's number one. Okay, anyways, next I'm moving on to cultural barriers, okay? It's very good to learn kind of like what to do, what not to do. I kind of recommend like doing a homestay. I didn't do it necessarily, but my family has had Japanese students like all my life, so I kind of like learned a lot from them just being at my own house. So I had homestays at my own house, and they taught me about Japan. So that was kind of useful. And at the same time, I lived in Japan. I made my mistakes. Take your shoes off here. Oh, I'm sorry. Put slippers on. Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, you could jump on YouTube too. Obviously, you'll find tons of YouTubers. They'll be like 50 things not to do on the in Japan, or 25 things that you should do when you first meet someone. They have all these things, and a lot of these are unwritten rules, but at the same time, depending on the person, can really, really change your, the perspective of how the Japanese person you're meeting sees you. You know what I mean? Meaning, if you do one thing wrong, depending on the person, it could really just, you're on a date, and you don't pay for the meal like you're supposed to. The males are supposed to pay for the meal. They gotta find a way to slip in there. Like the girl's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. Okay, cool. And the guy goes in, swoops, pays for the meal. You gotta pay for the meal. That's just how it is when you're dating. Anyway, and that's just a cultural thing. Anyway, another thing is, I'll just give you a few things to do or not to do. They're simple. You already know. Take your shoes off when you go to someone's house. But like when you go to like more an official building, like a school, you have to put slippers on. So you're taking shoes off and putting school slippers on. But then they'll have bathroom slippers too. So you take those slippers off and put more slippers on. It gets a little complicated. All right, don't speak on the cell phone on the train. Don't speak too loud, like in a doctor's office or anywhere really. I'm in Osaka. People here speak way louder, and they talk a lot more than say Tokyo. Tokyo, they're very quiet. It doesn't matter if they're all crushed into a train, like, and one guy is actually dying, his eyes rolling in his head. They're quiet. Osaka, they like to talk and they like to laugh. Anyways, let me get my magic notebook because I got off track just a bit there. Yeah, so cultural differences are important, so you should learn about culture. I'm not saying learn like 400 years of Japanese history, because that's not necessarily going to entertain anyone here, because you might find that you know more Japanese history than people living here, which I think that's kind of funny because that's what I did. But just learn some of the common etiquettes, and like, for example, you're working, right? You finally get your working holiday. You're like, yes, 2 weeks off, paid vacation. I'm going to Taiwan. Go to Taiwan, you come back, make sure you bring like some kind of treat from Taiwan for your workers to create a better environment. That's a good thing. Or when you first actually start working at a place, bring something. It's not a big deal, and it's it's an icebreaker. So create a good impression. There you go. It's not necessarily standard, but it's definitely make people, look better at you. You dress nice, you're there on time, and you brought a little gift from America for everybody, or whatever. So anyways, cultural, that was, it's because cultural barriers is things. So there's the things you don't know and what you do know. If you do make a mistake, just move past it. It's fine. you're going to make mistakes. Combate, okay? You will make mistakes. Don't feel bad. And if someone tries to make you feel bad, you can either sit there and explain and get all stressed out, or you can just say, Sumimasen, and just play the foreigner card like I do, like 24/7. Okay, let's move on. This is a little bit lighter. Being stared at. I could have started with that one because you're a foreigner. You look different. Everyone here is Japanese. You're gonna be stared at. I'm sorry. No matter how you do, you're gonna be stared at. You can cut your hair and make it look a little more Japanese. You're gonna be stared at. That's all there is. Side glances, direct glances. Sometimes even like just like people that look like they might want to fight you glances. I'm just like, so, and if you want to fight me, I'm like, it kind of like, defuses any kind of weird, awkward situations. Had a guy flip me off. I was more impressed that he knew what that meant. It's the same thing, because they're impressed that I know how to use chopsticks, so it's the same idea. So I could have been all mad, upset. I wasn't. I was like, okay, I laughed, and I moved on. So, okay, let's move on to being overlooked, okay? It's kind of sort of easy to be overlooked here because, again, like I said, everyone's Japanese and not everyone has experience, with foreigners. Like, okay, I recently went to a wedding and there was one guy there, older gentleman. He was very, very nice, and I was conversating the best I could in Japanese with him, and he told me that I was the first foreigner he had ever talked to in his whole life. Can you imagine that? We spoke for 45 minutes straight. But yeah, I was amazed, because for me, like living in America where it's all mixed, I got buddies that are Asian, I got buddies that are half, I guess you can call them halfus, right? I got, buddies that are black, white, Arabic, whatever. It's all mixed up, right? So I'm used to that, But here it's like, it's only Japanese. They're not used to it, and it's amazing that, he's just like, you're the first foreigner I've ever talked to. I'm just like, really? So, yeah. So there you go. So anyways, back to being overlooked. You can be overlooked at work, such as like promotions. Maybe if your Japanese is not quite good enough, or maybe just because you are a foreigner. And this applies to all foreigners equally. Education does help though, I'm telling you. So that could, get you promoted faster. Japanese really stand by the test. They have quite a few tests. They love testing things. Okay, they love making everything into a classroom. Doesn't matter what it is. They have Legos. We're gonna make it into a classroom. Even if it's cupcakes, it's now a cupcake school. So, so if you have high credentials, you're gonna do a lot better than a person who just graduated high school. Anyways, let's talk about friendships and being overlooked. If your Japanese is like not on par, you might miss out on a lot of friendships. Don't worry, just keep studying, ganbatte. And if a person honestly doesn't want to be friends with you just because your Japanese is not quite good enough and they don't want to help you, they're probably not good enough people in the first place to want to be friends with, okay? But it does happen, and some people might just not be comfortable with you because you are a foreigner. It's okay. So yeah, you will find the right people. You will know, it'll click. Just give it time and don't give up so quickly. It can get lonely. I'm just gonna give that as a warning. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about in this video. The problems you get. Okay, I guess you can say that could be a problem. You can get lonely. Okay, so make friends. I would say friends that speak the same language as you, but don't be stuck in groups of them. Make sure you get outside your groups. Make sure you get outside your bubble, because like when you work here, you get in this thing called the English bubble, and it's very easy to get like cozy and never learn Japanese when you're working. As a student, students typically are required to learn Japanese, so it's a lot easier for you guys to take classes and interact with Japanese. If you're just coming here by yourself, that is truly, in my opinion, the hardest way to come here. But it's still doable, and you still can succeed, you know. Anyways, let's move on to housing problems. This for me, I feel, if you're not a student, if you didn't like get hired on to some company that's gonna pay for your apartment, like put you in a Leo Palace or a share house or something like that, you know, then it's gonna be a lot more difficult. You know, people just traveling here, they're gonna be here for a hotel for a week or even a month, and they're done. They go home. So if you're just coming here and you have like all your savings or whatever, and you're really just trying to make it, you're like, okay, I got my travel visa, but I want to change it to a 3-month visa as soon as I find me a job. It's gonna be hard. It's very possible. It's gonna be very difficult. So housing's always a problem. So if you know like Japanese people ahead of time, it's gonna be very, very useful. You know, I would even recommend a homestay. So yeah, and the reason the housing market is very difficult is because this is my opinion. So maybe it's my slight bias. A lot of people that own like up everything, they're older. They're like from the generation from literally from World War II, you know, and beyond actually. So some of them do they don't actually like Americans. You know, I'm not saying all of them, but some do not. For example, Yukiko's dad's mom was not happy that she married me. But when she met me and she met Emily, she was so happy she was crying. And she thought I was actually a decent guy. And she said, I'm sorry for misjudging you. And I was like, okay, no big deal in the first place. But I totally understood, okay? We bombed them. They killed a lot of people. It's sad to even talk about. Like, there's a movie, anime called Firefly. I didn't see it. I saw a preview, and like I swear I almost started crying. So I was like, I can't watch that movie. Anyways, so yeah, housing can be a problem. I have 3 examples of what I went through. I used to live in Yokohama. I found an apartment there, and I was like, this is perfect. In my price range, it's great. We talked to the guy. He spoke just enough English. He called the owner, and the owner was like, so, basically what nationality is this guy? And the guy was like, oh, he's from America. He said it very confidently. And the owner was like, choto, like that, just hesitation. Basically, this available apartment, one moment became very unavailable as soon as that guy hung up the phone. So that can happen. The guy didn't, say why. So he had a lot more tact, and he just tried to move on to selling me something else. So, and that's all. Here in Osaka, I was going to a Japanese school in the daytime, studying an intense course. And at night, I was going to a manga course that was taught in all Japanese. I wanted to be closer to my school. So at night, I can just study and pass out and go to my school in the morning on some days when I didn't feel like coming all the way back to this house. Anyways, I tried to get an apartment. Exact same way, came to the shop, found a guy, he could speak some English. I speak my terrible Japanese. He called the owner, and same exact experience. Only difference at the very end, this guy had a lot less tact. He was just like, well, you're from the U.S. Owner doesn't like people from the U.S. Sorry. And he really, really doesn't like people from China, so you should be happy at least you're not from China. And I was just like, I was kind of fuming. I was just like, all right, cool. I mean, I let it go in like a few minutes because I had an epiphany. I was just like, I was like Yukiko. I was like, Yukiko, you can just rent an apartment for me, like that. In the end, I didn't rent one, but it's just sad that all the obstacles I had to go through to even, to get one. Basically, extra money. Very direct, indirect discrimination. Another way is if you know a Japanese person and they're willing to be kind of like a co-signer for you, so you don't like skip out of town like that, then you can get an apartment too. They did have share houses, like they had a few that were like pretty high end, but I don't know why they were like in the middle of nowhere, so it wasn't useful for me at all. Then they had other ones that were really low end but still relatively expensive, and they were like more dormitory type, again, in the middle of nowhere. So I was kind of in trouble no matter what. In the end, I just stayed at this place and just traveled the distance to the school and just skipped the whole idea. So, yeah. In Kyushu, Yukiko rented the apartment for me because I was going to another school over that way when we were there for like a bit. So, yeah, that's how I got over that one. Um, let's talk about cell phone companies real quick, and this will be the end of the video. Basically, I wanted a cell phone, okay? Like, I was on a plan with Yukiko for quite a while, and I was just like, and I was working, I was like, I can probably get my own cell phone. She's like, yeah, yeah, okay, you can try. So I did it. I went to there. The guy talked English, the manager guy perfectly. Even to this day, I know him. I've known him for like 3 years. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to get a phone. And he's just like, okay, it's going to cost you $300 extra. And I was like, I stopped and I was like, what? Wait? Why? Why is it going to cost me $300 extra? He's like, you're a foreigner. And many foreigners, they pretty much bounce. They get the plan, they sign up for a year or whatever, 6 months, and then they just leave. Like literally a month later. So my company kind of got tired of this, and now, just in case, you have to pay $300. And I was like, look, I've been here for like 2 years. You've known me that for that long. He's like, I know, I'm sorry, but this is the company's policy. So I paid the $300, not very happy about that, and that's how I got my phone. So yeah, so keep in mind, if you're a foreigner, you come here, you kind of sort of represent all foreigners, and you definitely represent your country. You can say what you want, but in Japanese eyes, you are a representative, like an ambassador of your country. So put your best foot forward. That's my recommendation, because if you just come here and you mess around and you do bad things like crime or whatever, it's gonna make us all look bad, and people like me who's gonna maybe stay here for the rest of my life get punished because of that. So my point is, if you're gonna come here and cause trouble, don't come. If you're gonna come here and make friends and having the best experience of your life, come. We can even hang out. Peace. That's all I got to say. I'll talk to you later. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up. And yeah, later.